The party's going on. Thank God it's Friday.
Now.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Realm presented by Pro Football Debate. I'm your host, Alan, and I am here with, as always, Adam, our resident writer for Pro Football Debate for everything fantasy football related. You can check them out at profootballdebate.com. Make sure you tap into everything Adam rates for the website. And Be Pappy, Brandon himself, our resident antagonist, here to do as if you've watched previously, you already know, nothing more than to drive me up an absolute freaking wall, which he does successfully almost every single time we sit here and record. So welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. If you are tuning in again, please give us a like, give us a follow, share us on all the socials. Make sure you leave some comments below with respect to any topics that you're enjoying. Any feedback that you might have, please feel free to share that in the comments as well. But let's dive right into it. How's it going, fellas? What's happening? Everybody good on it's a Friday night we're recording here?
Doing good, man. Happy to be back here. Glad we all finally showed up.
Oh, I think that's a little shot at me. Recording's getting started a little bit later than we expected. Listen, there's going to be no punches held with the three of us, if I had to guess.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely, I love it. I'd have it no other way. Thursday night football last night, Giants and the 49ers. Probably a pretty similar to what we expected. 49ers looked like they were kind of having a little bit of trouble with the Giants in the first half. It was actually pretty good, and then they just absolutely snuffed the Giants out in the second half. A big topic for us earlier in the week was the Giants backfield. We learned anything after last night's game or what?
We learned that our anticipation of hopefulness was not justified. That's Saquon Barkley is the exception, not the rule to that offense. And I think looking at last night, maybe 49ers are a plus defense, but Darren Waller might need Saquon Barkley to be relevant. He got a lot of attention, and Paris Campbell, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, and Isaiah Hodgins, whoever else is there, they don't strike fear into anybody. So, yeah, pretty boring offense.
Yeah, extremely boring. I think I said it when we talked about Saquon Barkley getting hurt. I think we recorded it in the episode before this one. He was that offense, right? Like that offensive line is so bad that that offensive line was almost bad enough that you if Saquon Barkley wasn't who he is, you weren't starting him, right? Like. So I think that's what's going to hold true with Breda. I think that's what's going to hold true. You know, was it pretty clear Eric Gray's not in the game plan for them?
Yep. Yeah, he's in your redraft. He's off your rosters. Even off your radar. Even Dynasty, deep rosters. I'm holding them still, but
I am. I have him in a couple leagues. I have him taxied.
But the fact he can't beat out Breda or Brightwell for snaps is a little concerning, but he's a rookie. He didn't look good, but he's a rookie.
Yeah. And he's small. You put a small dude behind a bad offensive line, that's a recipe for disaster, right?
But he should
5'8", 200.
He's a good pass catcher. That's what he did at Tennessee, and that's what he did at Oklahoma. He was always good out of the backfield, and they could use that. That's why I could thought he would translate pretty well into that offense. It was because he would take that passing game away from Barkley. But I guess if I really think about it, since Dable's got there, they don't use Barkley extremely heavily in that passing game.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. Brandon, what'd you take away from that game last night?
It was a lot slower than I expected. I thought the Niners would come out and just blow them out right away, and we'd get to see a little bit of Elijah Mitchell, like we talked about earlier in the week. And he actually didn't have a bad game, just didn't have a fantasy relevant game really. I mean, he scored, I think, around like 7 points or something, but
yeah, that's about right. He was almost 4 yards to carry.
The game was so close at the beginning. I think at one point it was only like 17-12 or something. I think
17-12 going into the half. Yep.
Yeah. So it was they didn't have the room. I think if Niners tacked on another touchdown or got one real quick in the second half, then you would saw a little bit more Elijah Mitchell, but I was looking at the box score. He had 11 carries, so he got the ball. He had 3 catches. He just didn't go anywhere with them. So I was happy with that. So I think that's a play. Niners are a really good team. So if you have a weak matchup and you need a guy to stick in to grab a few points because you have an injury or something, Elijah Mitchell is not a bad call. McCaffrey owned the game. He's just showing back to true fantasy form. I don't know if it was injury or what, but he missed out 2 years ago. And now he's back and obviously just dominating in all facets of that offense. So Debo had a great game. Like to see that, but Ayuk was out. So looked like Juwan Jennings was going to have a huge game because he caught like 2 catches really early on.
Right off the bat,
and then just kind of did nothing the rest of the game. So that offense, CMC, Debo destroyed Kittle. Had a good game, but it's the Giants. So back to our tight end. Is he a tight end one still? Discussion that we had earlier in the week. I don't know if you can go off of this game. The Giants are horrible against tight ends. Yeah. And they've shown that their defense is bad against them. So not a huge game out of him. I think he had 16 points. So a good game out of Kittle for the owners that had him, but I'm still not sold on him. So
yeah, I'm with you. I thought I liked seeing alumni from U of M, right? Ronnie Bell, wide receiver over there in San Francisco, caught a touchdown last night. It'll be interesting to see how the financial situation is going to work out in the next few years with San Francisco. Ronnie Bell's a guy, for anybody that plays Dynasty, Ronnie Bell's a guy that I've actually taxied in a couple leagues too. Don't know if he'll ever be anything or not, but on deep roster Dynasty leagues, might be worth a taxi squad spot. I've got him in a couple leagues. So again, not anything that you're going to look to, break through on your rosters and redraft or anything to that effect, but somebody to keep an eye on in deep dynasty leagues too. All right. Awesome. So that's Thursday night's snoozer of a game. Hopefully next Thursday is a little bit better than that. Actually, I'd love to see next Thursday's game be a snoozer also with Detroit beating Green Bay by a boatload, but I guess that's to be seen. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the Lions right now. Brandon, I think you had a topic prepared for us you wanted to discuss, and that was it 5 waiver pickups? You want to talk about that a little bit? Introduce that topic.
Yeah, I have 5 guys I think you can grab off the waiver wire now that could help you out later in the season. Let's start off with Justice Hill. Obviously, the injury to the backfield with the Ravens. So he's come in. I think he had Gus Edwards had the other carries, but Justice Hill's rostered in less than 40% of teams, and he's tied right now and with red zone carries with 8 for 30. He's tied at third with 8 red zone carries with Tyler Algier, K9, and Derrick Henry, which is surprising to me that he's had that many carries in the red zone. But obviously with the injury that helps him obviously to get the carries. But I think he's a good pickup. It shows he's trusted in the red zone and he's going to carry the ball at the goal line and possibly get those touchdown points for you. So not a bad roster pickup there with only 40% ownership. Second one is go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, real quick on Justice Hill. That's the red zone carry is important if you're playing in like a non PPR, just standard scoring. Right, you're looking for those touchdown vultures, so that might be a really, really strong play. I'm surprised to hear that he's rostered in less than 40% of the leagues. Where is that on? Is that on ESPN?
I pulled it from just straight Fantasy Pros, so it's kind of I think it's a combination
across
of
all platforms.
A bunch of across all the platforms together.
Yeah, Justice Hill, I feel like was a guy that a lot of people were targeting when J.K. Dobbins went out. It was kind of a mix, right, of Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. A lot of guys were going after one or the other. Nobody really knew how that was going to shake out, but I like the Justice Hill play. I think both of those guys are probably worth carrying. Surprised to hear he's not rostered on more teams. I like that.
Yeah,
Justice Hill's out this week, right?
I did not.
I did. Yeah, he has not practiced this week.
He's out this week.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
And I think obviously it's likely. I think Gus Edwards had the first 2 touchdowns after the Dobbins injury. So
yeah.
And don't quote me on that because I'm not sure. But I think a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon with him right away. And now with the injury to Justice Hill, he's still sitting there. So he's a good guy you could stash away, for the end of the season. That's the idea with these. So
Yeah, Gus Edwards is the guy that most people, I think, are rostering, at least on Sleeper. Justice Hill's rostered in 52%, Gus Edwards 68%. They split carries almost right down the middle. Gus Edwards, week 2, had 10. Justice Hill had 11. Gus Edwards did a little better work with his carries, but that's probably why Gus Edwards is rostered in more leagues. So, case in, to your point, not that I ever enjoy agreeing with you, but Justice Hill rostered in a little fewer leagues. I know, shocking, right? And we have to air this on the internet for the public to see. What am I going to do with myself? So that's Justice Hill. Who else you got on your list?
The other one's he's a Bear, which I don't love right now, but it's Rashawn Johnson. I think a lot of people were high on him going into the season as a rookie. In our Debbie leagues, he was going, and also in our dynasty. So he went early in the rookie draft. I'm not sold on Khalil Herbert. I don't think the Bears are a good team in general. So he is also rostered in he's owned by less than 40% teams. He's had 4 red zone carries, or 4 red zone opportunities, 2 carries, 2 receptions, and Khalil Herbert has a 1. Also goes to show the Bears' lack of efficiency in getting into the red zone to begin with, but he's actually had more than Herbert. So that was an interesting stat to me. And the fact that he's not owned by many, likely in redraft leagues, he's available. So go out and grab him. He could be the RB1 for Chicago by the end of the year. And that was kind of where I was at with him. I know you guys have some thoughts on Khalil Herbert. I know Adam doesn't like him.
I don't like anybody in a Bear uniform.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm taking a Bear, I'll give DJ Moore that gamble because he's such a good receiver that's been plagued with crappy quarterback play his whole life, but he's an absolute stud wide receiver, super underrated until he went to Chicago, and then all of a sudden people talked about him that he was going to be great and the Bears were going to go 12-5 and Justin Fields is going to win MVP. But as far as that backfield, I like Dante Foreman a lot coming into the year because I thought he ran super hard with Carolina, and he did it with the Texans too. Caught some unfortunate injuries, but I like the Rashawn Johnson play. I wouldn't dog anybody for it. I'm just kind of hoping that Foreman gets a chance over there.
Yeah, I liked Rashawn Johnson. You guys know I mostly play Dynasty leagues. In Dynasty, I liked Rashawn Johnson a lot. I thought he landed in a great spot because I think Khalil Herbert's trash.
He is.
Unfortunately, the Bears' defense is equally trash. So the offense is just always throwing the ball,
and the organization,
and literally the entire team. But they just don't they don't run the ball enough, right? Like they're not and when they are running, it's usually Justin Fields that's running the ball. So I like Rashawn Johnson. I think he's the most talented running back there. So yeah, to your point, maybe he gets some more reps in a redraft league later in the year. I like him as a dynasty stash, more so than redraft this year. So I wouldn't add him. I'll go ahead and just call you wrong when I feel like you're wrong. I don't like Rashawn Johnson in redraft. I don't think he's going to score points this year. I don't think anybody outside of DJ Moore is really going to make any noise in that Bear offense. So
Moore and Fields.
Yeah.
Komet's been getting targets.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll give you that. There's my thoughts on Rashawn Johnson. I'm tired of agreeing with you. I'm being way too agreeable. I don't like the Rashawn Johnson play at all. I disagree. I'm not picking him up. Not in redraft leagues. Not now. Not ever.
All right, we'll add another beer chug to the bet that he'll be the RB1 by the end of the year.
All right. I don't know if I agree with that because you could be the RB1 by the end of the year.
Off the cusp, and we haven't planned about it or talked about it, but we should pick a little lineup. We'll just do 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 tight end. Everybody's open. Whoever comes in last in like ESPN standard scoring's got to chug a beer.
I'm in.
Next Friday's podcast.
I'm in.
All right.
I'm in.
Well, no research. We just came up with this, right?
So, all right. I already know what my team is.
Well, cool. Let's just got to do a draft. You can't just pick Tua.
Oh, fine. Tua and Puka.
So let's do that. And I'm gonna have to pull up the roster, the schedule.
Yeah. All right. Who else you got? You got another one for me? Who else can I make fun of?
Yeah. So number 3, we talked about him on Wednesday's show that we aired on Thursday. But it's Jaden Reed. He's still rostered in less than 20% of teams. And if you're listening to this right now, go out and pick him up in a redraft league. He's going to be a stud in Green Bay this year. And if you don't have him yet in Dynasty and can get him. He's the guy there. We lost Al again. But he ghosted. but yeah, I guess let's keep rolling on it. Jaden Reed, Adam, I know you like him. He's getting targets in the red zone, catching them. He had 2 touchdowns last week. I think he's a no-brainer right now. If he's available in your league, go grab him. 100%.
I mean, are you worried about Christian Watson returning, taking away from Jaden?
No. We what we talked about last week. I'm not worried because I think he's building a rapport with Love that can't be replaced. Just the fact that he's in the lineup and he's showing that he can be trusted and catch the ball. Christian Watson drops a lot of balls, and I think they're 2 different players as well. So him coming back, I think what Al said last episode about Christian Watson opening up the field for him is actually probably true, if I have to agree with Al. But it's I see that happening. So.
My biggest thing with Jaden Reed and his potential moving forward is he's being trusted in the red zone. And that speaks volumes. So that's not going to go away with Watson or not. Jaden Reed is going to be a factor into that offense. So I'll take over for Al since he just ghosted us. What you got? Any more guys that you want to?
Yeah, 2 more left. Number 4 on the list is Zay Jones. He's rostered in less than 50% of teams, and he's leading in the red zone. He's 5 red zone targets. He's tied for first for wide receivers with Tyreek Hill, Zay Flowers, and Calvin Ridley. So he's getting the targets. He's only caught 2 in the red zone, I think, of the 5. I don't know if they were drops or if they were contested. I didn't see them, but I think he's a guy that could be grabbed if available in your league, and potentially get some scoring in the wide receiver slot. So,
yeah, my thoughts on Zay Jones real quick is I love him, but you have to have a strong stomach to put up with Zay Jones because he's going to throw zeros at you or 1 catch for 4 yards, and then the following week he's going to have 8 catches for 3 touchdowns and 100 yards. So you have to have a strong stomach to start him. But I do like Zay Jones because he's one of the best desperation plays you can have in fantasy football in today's game.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry, guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We had a good time without you.
I don't know what happened, but I'm sure Brandon said a bunch of stupid stuff that made no sense at all.
I think our viewership looks good. I think our viewership's going to spike during that brief during my
brief outage.
Yeah,
I don't know about that.
No, Alan, I'm in.
Unbelievable.
All right, so I had to pick up for you. I think Brandon's got one more fellow to talk about.
All right, who we got?
Yeah, this one's kind of a wild card, but some numbers jumped out at me. He's on a pretty high octane offense with Dallas. Is Kevontae Turpin. He's rostered in less than 1% of teams. He's had 3 red zone targets and also 2 red zone carries, and actually had a rushing touchdown. So that stands out to me. I think obviously they have Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb. Somebody else has got to kind of step up there. Brandon Cooks has been out with an injury last week. I don't know if that's going to be lingering. That seems to be kind of Brandon Cooks' MO. He's going to be around, but he'll be out often as well. He was out last year a lot with Houston. So this one stood out because it was like, okay, he's gotten carries in the red zone too. And he's getting passes in the red zone. So 1% is owned. He's available probably everywhere. And again, these are thoughts of like, you got a dead spot in your lineup because of a bye week or an injury or something. And you really kind of just in desperation, stash him away and see what he grows into. And you can always plug him in, he might get you a couple of points here and there. And by the end of the season, who knows, he might be producing for you. 'Cause based on those numbers, it means he's getting action in the red zone. So like we talked about with Zay Jones, he's leading with 5. So Turpin has 3 through 2 weeks targets in the red zone. So he's not too far off from the leaders.
I hate it for redraft. I don't. I'm not thinking of him. I have him on a couple of dynasty teams, so I wouldn't mind seeing it. But I think if that hits, that's great. But I just Dallas offense, Mike McCarthy, I'm not impressed with him at all.
Yeah. You got to have a really deep bench to be rostering somebody like Kevontae Turpin. Right?
Yeah, so it's like, who would you drop? What redraft leagues have a roster that deep to drop? Who are you dropping for him?
Right. So, yeah, that's tough. That's really tough.
But I like him. I like him as a keep your eye on for redrafts and in dynasty. If he's there, scoop him up. If you have anything over a 22-man roster in dynasty, scoop him up for sure. Get rid of OBJ. Get rid of some of these guys that aren't going to do anything. You've already seen them, Diami Brown or whoever you might be holding. Pick up this kid, and he's older. He's like 27 already.
Yeah, he is.
I was just trying to think outside of the box for some waiver wire pickups, because it's one thing I noticed in redraft leagues, and we talked about it a little with Puka. But these guys come out and they're the flavor of the week with they had a great game, and then everybody's going out and grabbing them from the waiver wire, and they're owned across all many leagues. So these are just kind of ones that have been sitting still, even producing some and on their teams and producing some fantasy relevancy in terms of points and red zone targets and things like that. So just something for folks to keep their eyes out on, and if you're struggling or have a desperation move that you need to make, those could stand out. But I don't think any of them will be game changers.
Even if nothing else, you throw them on your watch list and make sure you just keep an eye on them, right? Because that's not a name that's going to just pop out. You're not going to be looking for it every week. Throw them on your watch list, keep an eye on them, see if they start creeping up, snaps or receptions or whatever the case. Not a bad idea.
They're on my watch list so that I can see how many points they score in the following weeks, and I can.
You pretty much just cursed all 5 of those guys, so there goes that. All right, awesome. Well, there's Brandon's 5 waiver pickups you can jump on now to help your team later. Not anytime soon, especially Kevontae Turpin. Most certainly Roshan Johnson, because he's a Bear. All right, awesome. Adam, you got something prepared. I think you wanted to do a little start-'em, sit-'em segment.
Yeah, I got some questions prepared for you guys. I'm going to call it it's Friday now, but we'll play this on Saturday, so I'm going to call it the Saturday 6-pack. And I got 6 questions of which guy you would start. I have them in order. I don't really have them who I'm going to ask to, but which one of you guys want to go first?
I'll go first. Go ahead. Hit me with it.
All right. So first I have, who would you start this week? Jared Goff or Trevor Lawrence?
Ooh, Jared Goff or Trevor Lawrence. So Jared Goff is at Atlanta, or home, right? Home against Atlanta. And Trevor Lawrence is home against Jacksonville.
He is Jacksonville.
Home against Houston. I am starting Jared Goff in this. Jared Goff is operating as like a top 5 quarterback. Plus he's at home. I understand that they're pretty banged up. The offensive line is struggling. Amon-Ra St. Brown's playing, but he's a little bit banged up. I think Sam Laporta is going to eat. Excited to see how they feed Gibbs the ball this week. But real quick answer for you, I'm taking Jared Goff relatively comfortably.
All right.
I told you, I think you're crazy.
No, that wasn't your question, bitch. So, Brandon, I got Zay Flowers or Nico Collins.
Oh, you know who I'm starting? Zay Flowers.
Nico's been. I mean, what's Nico's like a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy points this year?
He is.
Yeah, Waterfine's level, but he's been getting a ton of targets. But I love them both. OBJ's out. Mark Andrews is back. But my talent-wise, give me Zay. Nico's been good. Hard to argue that. Stroud's been doing everything to kind of get rid of that OSU quarterback turn. NFL quarterbacks. Yeah. Stroud's looked pretty good.
I will say I like the matchup. I like the matchup.
I think they're both
I like
good
both
matchups.
Yeah.
I'll correct myself
like
too. He's 7th overall in standard in PPR leagues.
All right,
which is pretty good.
Next up, I got back to Al. I got Josh Reynolds or Jordan Addison.
Well, so Josh Reynolds has done everything right. I'm not going to pick Josh Reynolds this week, though. I'm going with Jordan Addison. They're both wide receiver 2s for their team. You could argue that maybe Josh Reynolds gets featured a little bit more with the Amon-Ra St. Brown injury. The Chargers are incapable of stopping anybody. Minnesota's incapable of stopping anybody. I think that is going to be the shootout of the weekend. I think a lot of fantasy points are going to come out of that game. I like Jordan Addison to get a touchdown. I like him to get 6 catches. I'm taking Jordan Addison over Josh Reynolds. Again, fairly comfortably. You probably can play either of those guys this week as like a wide receiver 3 play. But give me Jordan Addison.
Fine with that. Brandon, I got a Sam Laporta or Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Give me the ones I'm gonna go homer on. That.
That's just the way it's sold, baby.
Well, if we go off of what Alice saying, he thinks Josh Reynolds not gonna score, I go Sam Laporta because someone's got to catch the ball now, and I don't think they're gonna be as run heavy. I think they're gonna be passing a lot. I do think Atlanta will slow the game down because they're a rushing offense. But I think Goff's going to come out and pass. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Laporta.
Yeah, I think that Atlanta secondary is not to be slept on either. They signed Jesse Bates in the offseason. So Atlanta is not a team that I'm really looking at to really load up on wide receivers against. AJ Terrell, one of the best young defensive backs in the league. I know Jeff Okudah is questionable to play this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Not that he concerns me too much, but with our luck, he'll have like a important interception or a pick 6 or something ridiculous like that. But their secondary is tough.
All right, back to Al. I got DeAndre Swift or Kyron Williams.
Okay, what are the matchups on this one? So we've got who's Philly playing? Philly's against Tampa. And then I feel like the Rams have an interesting matchup too. They're against Cincinnati.
Both Monday night.
Give me the hot hand and give me Swift coming off a performance like he had last week. What was it? 160, 170 yards, 27 carries. He's got, what was that, last Thursday's game? So he's got like a 10-day break to rest up. I like Kyron Williams. He's a hot hand right now too. But I think Philly's loving what they got in Swift right now. They're going to try to control the game on the ground. Give me Swift.
All right. And the last up on our Saturday 6-pack is going to be Justin Fields or CJ Stroud to Brandon.
What are the matchups for that one? Bears are at Chiefs.
CJ Stroud is at Jacksonville.
The Bears are the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to go Stroud. I like Stroud in that.
Easy, right?
I think
that was an easy one. He finally got one right.
That's crazy that you're saying, think about it. Think about five weeks ago, nobody would pick CJ Stroud over Justin Fields.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's producing though, and that's a matchup. I mean, Jacksonville they're a weird team. I feel like they're supposed to be better than they have been, and defensively they get in shootouts. Like it's kind of it's weird to me, but yeah, I like Stroud and that. I think he's gonna put up points. I think the Chiefs get that Chris Jones with him back obviously last week and being in the lineup, and the Chiefs already lost the game. I don't think they lose many all year. I think they're gonna come in, and yeah, I'm not a fan of that matchup for Justin Fields. So
I'm liking what
Stroud.
Houston's doing. They're letting Stroud unleash the ball. He's throwing the ball 40 times a game, 40 plus. Nico Collins looks good. My boy Bobby Trees over there always looks pretty good. I still don't like Dameon Pierce. I still think Dameon Pierce is trash. But that is what it is.
Yeah, they need to. Houston's not going to keep Dameon Pierce around very long. So if you have him in your dynasty league, definitely look to sell him. You probably can't get anything from him if you're in a league with any, that's got any type of decent owners in it. But I'm all out on Dameon Pierce.
I agree. Houston's making a youth movement right now. They got Will Anderson on the defensive side. Obviously, you got CJ Stroud on the offensive side. I wouldn't be shocked to see Houston take a running back in the draft next year.
Travion Henderson.
To be completely honest, like we're talking about dynasty and like forecasting way, way too early, I would love to see a running back go to Houston. Give me a Travion Henderson.
Raheem Sanders.
Raheem Sanders from Arkansas would be awesome. Give me one of those like top 2 or 3 running backs to land in Houston, and that would be a dream landing spot that
even a later pick that would be good there. And he's had a pretty disappointing season so far, but Donovan Edwards' skill set fits very well in what Houston could be doing. We know, but anyways,
did you really just compliment a Michigan football player?
Only when you guys aren't, slobbering over Jake Moody's wieners.
Bro, Jake Moody is so good. He's literally leading the NFL in field goals made right now. Granted, he's played one more week than everybody else, but
Adam, if Allen shows up with a 49ers Jake Moody jersey, he's not allowed back on the show.
That would be fire. That would be absolute fire. What would be great is if Jake Moody somehow saw this podcast and hooked me up with a Moody San Francisco Moody jersey. Let's go, Jake Moody. If you're out there, holler at your boy. Hook me up. Let's go. I got your back.
Oh my God.
Money Moody all day long. Well, all right. That's the Saturday 6-pack. Thanks for sharing that, Adam. You got something else for me here. We got 5 buys and 5 sells. Tell us about this.
Yeah, I got 5 buys that I think are guys that are going to be on the up, either for over exceeding expectations that I think are real, or guys that have underperformed, and I think that they're going to bounce back. And it's Jake Moody, and Jake Moody.
That's my kind of list. Let's go.
No, first up, and I really thought long and hard about this one because I try not to be a homer, but Sam Laporta is him. Sam Laporta is a guy that if you can find an owner willing to sell him, go get him. His target share, what he does with his targets is only going to go up. He hasn't disappointed at all. I'm buying Laporta right now. I'd even transition down. Call me crazy. If I have Mark Andrews and I have a hole at running back or a wide receiver, I will try to fill that by trading down to Laporta right now. And I don't think my production is going to be too terribly down at the tight end position. My next buy is I have Al's favorite, Ken Walker. I still feel like he's being undervalued. If you look at his stats for his yards per carry against Detroit last week, they weren't very good, but he broke a ton of tackles. I think he's 2nd or 3rd in the league in broken tackles right now. That's a trend that's going to continue. And they even got him a little bit involved in the passing game. Zach Charbonnet is not the threat that we thought he was going to be to him, at least not yet. My Nick Chubb to Kareem Hunt comparison is on par right now. So I feel really good about that. If you can find somebody like Al with Ken Walker that thinks he's not a good talent, go and buy him. My next one's Breece Hall. 4 carries, 9 yards. The kid's way too talented for that. If you have somebody panicking in your league that wants to off Breece Hall after that, I'm buying him.
Can I ask you a quick question on him?
Yep.
Are you saying for Dynasty, not for? Do you think he has a good season this year? But for this season,
yeah, I'm talking all redraft because I don't think we have a Dynasty audience.
You're not buying Breece Hall in Dynasty. He's not for sale in Dynasty. You're not getting him on the cheap in Dynasty.
Fair. I was just curious if you for this season, the way the Jets like losing Rodgers and will their offense sputter. I just was curious.
Yeah, this is all just redrafts. Dynasty, you're not getting him. He's probably still viewed as a top 10 running back in Dynasty.
My only problem with Breece Hall is like the magic number for a running back. Like you want to see a running back get 20 touches in some way, shape, or form. You want to see him get 20 touches between the ground and the air, right? Breece Hall has 16 touches total on the season right now. He's got one catch and 14
coming off a knee injury.
Yeah, I get it. But he looked so good in week 1.
Yeah,
he's been on a limit too.
Panicking. If I can throw somebody, I don't know, if I can transition down, if I have Mark Andrews and I can say, hey, give me Laporta and Breece Hall, and I'm going to give you Mark Andrews and Raheem Mostert.
Yeah. Well, let's keep going through this because we might be able to tie this together a little bit. So far your buys are Laporta, Kenneth Walker III, and Breece Hall. Who else you got on your buy list right now?
I got Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is a guy that, I am maybe a little biased on. When I first started playing Devy, he was one of maybe my second year. He was one of my first receivers. Drafted him as a freshman. I love this guy, and I think he's an exceptional route runner. His hands have been so-so in the NFL, but he got 5 catches for like 40 yards, I think, in his first week back. I think as he continues to get healthy and that hamstring heals up, he's going to be more and more involved in that offense. So I would definitely try to acquire Jerry Jeudy into your lineup. And then my last buy that I'm going to do is Tank Dell. We've talked about the CJ Stroud is being allowed to just sling the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud wanted Tank Dell. Nico Collins right now is the clear number 1, and Robert Woods is going to be consistent, but Tank Dell is going to start to emerge. You got 10 targets, I think, week 1. I don't look at stats before I do this stuff. I just talk, but I think he got 10 targets, and I think he's going to transition up. He's probably not owned too heavily in your league, so you probably don't have to trade for him. You probably just pick him up. But even in your dynasty leagues, if any of you guys are out here, I'd be looking. I would definitely try to be aggressive. I would send a 24-2 and a 24-4 for Tank Dell right now. I think his trajectory is straight up in the air. Yeah,
I went after Tank Dell pretty heavily in a lot of my dynasty leagues too. I was grabbing him like late 3rd, early 4th round. I was able to get Tank Dell. 10 targets was in week 2. It was last week. He went 10 targets, 7 catches, 72 yards, and a touchdown. So
yeah.
He didn't just get the targets. He got the catches too. 7 for 72 and a score. You're going to take that all day, any day out of any receiver. So
and Stroud wants him. He wanted him there. There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So I like that. So your buys are Sam Laporta, Kenneth Walker III, Breece Hall, Jerry Jeudy, and Tank Dell. So now you're going to give us some sell nows, right? So these are some guys that you're looking to possibly offload. We can even, as we're going through this, identify some of these sells that you might even sell for some of the buys that he's talking about, right? So hit us with your sell list. Who are you selling?
Up top, and this one hurts my heart because I've loved this guy, but I just don't see it for him, and it's David Njoku. Deshaun Watson has been a disappointment. Njoku really kind of gets his value in the red zone. And with this new offense, they've kind of leaned towards running the ball in the red zone, and I just don't see Njoku getting the targets. So if you can still take advantage of an owner that looks at keep, cut, trade and like trade calculators, because those owners are out there. I had an argument this weekend about somebody that all the analysts use trade cut.
Yeah, keep trade cut.
Whatever the thing fucking is, right? I don't need a computer to think for me. I watch the games. I'm getting off on Njoku. If I can transition from Njoku to Laporta, I'm doing that. I'll do that 1 for 1. If I have to throw on a back end running back or receiver,
you probably have to do that right now. I think most of the community's starting to get up on Sam Laporta. I think he's kind of a darling right now.
Yeah, but he's worth it. He's only going to go up. I would trade Njoku 1 for 1 for Dalton Kincaid too.
Yeah. I don't hate that. So Njoku's a sell.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay at the tight end position, but with a little caveat. After this week, I'm selling Kyle Pitts because he's been poop the first 2 weeks, and Detroit has a problem guarding the tight end. It's been a problem that's been around since I've been alive.
So you think Pitts is going to have a game this weekend?
Yeah, no one
and then
can
it's
guard.
Time to cash out.
If Colby Parkinson can have a good game against the Detroit Lions, why can't Kyle Pitts?
Yep, there's your move right there. Is wait for Kyle Pitts to go off on Detroit, and then everybody's infatuation with Kyle Pitts coupled with a good game against Detroit, sell him and grab Laporta if you can.
Absolutely. So I let him have a good game this weekend, and then be aggressive.
Yeah.
So my next one is Raheem Mostert. He's looked pretty good. He's looked really good. But I do think that the Miami Dolphins are going to start to get A-Chain more involved in that offense as the season continues. So I would look to take advantage of Mostert being an RB1 in your lineup and see what you can get for him.
That's interesting. I like Mostert a lot. I would not sell Mostert right now. He's above 6 yards a carry. He's getting the ball almost 20 times a game. He, in my opinion, I think Mostert looks like he's a guy that I would probably try to target. Wait for him to have one subpar game, and I'd be going after him.
He's injury prone, and he's got somebody sniffing his ass.
Yeah,
that was handpicked. Right. So that's why I'm selling him, because people because that opinion right there. And then that's not a bad opinion. He's been really good. He's a high octane offense. But if I can capitalize on that right now, I'm going to try and do that, because I think his carries are going to decrease through the season, and A-Chain's going to get more involved.
Yeah, I can't argue it too much. I just traded Brian Robinson the other day, and he's kind of a similar situation, right? Like, he's not as old as Mostert, obviously. Mostert's like 10 years older than Brian Robinson, but I sold Brian Robinson because I don't like him as a football player, and he's about as high as, in my opinion, he's probably going to be for a while. So I can't argue it too much.
He's not on my list, but that's a good one too. I really like that trade for you.
Yeah.
And then my last one that I have is, and this one is going to be probably debatable, but that's what this is for. And I'm going to say, look to sell Devontae Smith right now.
Ooh.
He's been getting wide receiver 1 targets, and AJ Brown is a better wide receiver than Devontae Smith. So if you can capitalize on Devontae Smith's numbers and what he's been doing so far this season, go and get you your need, or transition down to another wide receiver and get a position you need. I don't think his trajectory is realistic on what he's on pace for. AJ Brown's going to start getting his targets, and AJ Brown's gonna start getting his things. So if you can find somebody that thinks Devontae Smith is the wide receiver 1 in Philadelphia, offload him to him and take advantage of the situation.
Okay. All right. I don't hate that. So that's your really strong play right there then, right? Devonta Smith is the sell that you could really pull a lot of value out of. Let me ask you this. What about are you going to trade Devonta Smith for somebody like Jerry Jeudy in a redraft league? Are you going to do that straight up, or are you looking for a little bit more out of Devonta Smith?
I'd be an idiot to do that straight up. The value's not there.
Yeah.
Right. So these aren't guys that I'm saying Devontae Smith is not going to do shit the rest of the season. That's not the point of fantasy football. You don't make a trade to rape somebody and say, I'm going to give my garbage to you.
Right.
You make a trade because if you think somebody is already hit their peak, and I think Devontae Smith's hit their peak. I don't think Jerry Jeudy's hit his peak yet. So if I can get the points that Jerry Jeudy's going to score based on the points that Devontae Smith's already scored, I'm making that move.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go get me a Ken Walker out of that. I'm going to go get me a Sam Laporta out of that. I'm going to go get me, I have Joe Burrow, and I need a better quarterback too, because I thought I was just going to start Joe Burrow all year. And now I can't roll out whoever is your weak quarterback too. And I want to go strengthen it with Jared Goff or Russell Wilson or Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Go ahead and make that transition.
Yeah, right. You know who else?
Can I throw?
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, Brandon. What you got?
I think I throw one more sell out there. that I have that go to the Lion King, Puka, I'd be selling Puka, and Alan can't even debate it because he already traded him. So
listen, you and I started talking at the same time just a second ago. I was actually going to honestly say the same thing, especially in redraft leagues. We're talking about redraft leagues right now. Puka is not a guy like if I can capitalize on his upside right now, which a lot of people are freaking out about, and maybe rightfully so. I'm going to do that because when Cooper Kupp comes back. Puka's just not going to be the guy. I'm not saying he won't be fantasy relevant. And in Dynasty, I like Puka a lot. I even just sold him in Dynasty earlier this week. I ended up getting a first round pick for him. So I'm not mad at that. I got a first and a second for him and Evan Ingram. So, but I'm going to take that all day long. But I don't disagree. I think Puka is a sell. Anytime, as a fantasy football owner, you can find value in a player. I don't care how hot they are. Everybody's for sale.
Absolutely. That's how you win money. You stay stagnant if you say, well, I can't trade this guy or I can't make that move. And that's when you lose.
Yeah. All right. Here, I'm going to give you a quick little segment from me. And this is my must start and must sit. I'm going to give you one quarterback, one wide receiver, and one running back. For week 3, that is a must start and must sit. All right. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about them, but I'll recap them very briefly. Number 1, my must start quarterback of the week. I don't care what other quarterbacks you have on your roster. You have to start Kirk Cousins this week. Kirk Cousins is going up against the LA Chargers. The Chargers can't stop anybody. Minnesota can't stop anybody. I'm pounding. I don't even know what the over under is on that game, but I'm probably pounding the over on that. Yeah, it's got to be $1 million. Cousins versus the Chargers is my must start quarterback for this week. My must sit quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Don't play him. Playing against Tennessee this week, Deshaun Watson has not looked very good, scrambling around a little bit, inaccurate throwing the ball. He does not look like the Deshaun Watson of Houston a couple of years ago. So Deshaun Watson, I am sitting comfortably. Running backs, my must start. And I'm going to bring this one up because I think this is somebody that we're kind of starting to sour on a little bit that had a lot of upside coming into the season. Must start Travis Etienne this week. Playing against Houston, I think that running game gets back on track. I think Jacksonville sends a message. Travis Etienne gets back on track, and he has somewhere between 15 and 20 carries at 4 to 5 yards a carry and a handful of catches in there. I think Etienne is a play this week. My sit at running back, Dameon Pierce. Haven't liked him. A lot of people are high on him. Playing against Jacksonville, whose defense can get after it. Their defense held Kansas City Chiefs to 17 points. Like they're doing something right over there, right? Jacksonville's defense doesn't look bad. Dameon Pierce, I don't think is going to help them a ton. They're not going to run the ball a lot. CJ Stroud is going to air it out. Look at CJ Stroud to have over 40 passing attempts again, which I think eliminates Dameon Pierce. I think Houston's playing catch up a lot this year. Don't like Dameon Pierce at all. My must start wide receiver. Give me Mike Evans. I'm trying not to give you like no brainers, right? I'm not going to tell you got to start Justin Jefferson. That's the guy you're starting every week, no matter what. Give me Mike Evans versus Philadelphia this week. Philadelphia secondary is banged up. Mike Evans looks like he's got some fresh legs, maybe playing for a contract. I don't know. Baker Mayfield, as much as it pains me to say, has actually looked like a quarterback that knows what the hell he's doing. But Mike Evans is a must play against Philadelphia. Again, I think Tampa Bay's playing a little bit of catch up with Philly. They're going to air it out. Mike Evans going to catch the ball. I like him for a touchdown and 6-7 catches this week. And my must sit. And again, I'm going to go to a wide receiver that we would otherwise generally be starting. My must sit this week is DeAndre Hopkins playing against Cleveland. I think Cleveland's defense is for real. I think Cleveland is going to be trouble for the league this year. Unfortunately, it's not going to be because Deshaun Watson is playing great at quarterback. I do think that that Cleveland defense is nasty. I don't love Hopkins. I don't think they're doing a lot of great things in the air. I think they're going to try to establish a ground game with Derrick Henry with Tennessee. I'm not starting DeAndre Hopkins. That is my must start and must sit at quarterback, wide receiver, and running back this week.
I like it. It's good.
All right. You said you wanted to do one more thing, Adam. You wanted to, what did you say? You wanted to draft a team, right? For this week.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to do the order, who goes first.
Well, Brandon should go last because he's an idiot.
I'll take it, and I'll still win.
This guy.
You want to do a snake draft? We'll do.
I'll do it.
One quarterback, one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end. Whoever comes in last has to chug a beer next Friday night's podcast, which will be the Saturday that you guys get to see it.
All right. Is it no holds barred, or are we just going? Do you want to do a quarterback round 1, running back round 2, or is it just no holds barred?
Well, this is all on the fly. I was thinking just like a transitional thing. Like we'll just go in order.
All right.
Maybe alphabetical, I guess. To be the easiest thing, and then we'll just snake it, and all players are done, and I'll have a notepad up, and we'll take the roster.
All right, sounds good.
So I'll go first then, I guess, and then So let me see here. I'll go Jeff. I'm gonna go Jefferson in that game that's gonna eat. I'll take Justin Jefferson first overall. All
right. So Adam's taking Justin Jefferson. So then, is it my turn after that?
Yeah, Alan is before Brandon.
All right. Let's see. What do we want to do here? So
I think Brandon's got the advantage here.
I think he does too. So obviously, Christian McCaffrey is out of play because he played already.
Yep.
Let's see. What do we want to do? You know what? I will. I'll take. Give me. I'm going to stand my ground, and I'm going to go with my. must-start quarterback. Give me Kirk Cousins.
All right, I like it. All right, Pappy.
I'll take Keenan Allen.
I like it.
Yep.
And I
gotta fucking think about this shit.
I know. So you have to take a QB, wide receiver, running back, and tight end.
Yep.
Yeah, just the 4.
I'll take Tony Pollard.
All right.
Okay. Travis Kelce's playing the Bears. Give me Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I gotta love that, right?
Yep.
Let me put this in real quick, and then I got back-to-backs. Yep.
All
right. I kind of hate doing this, but I'm gonna double up on the Vikings and take TJ Hawkinson. And then I will go with Justin Herbert.
Like that too. Not a surprise here that we got all the good Vikings and Chargers coming off the board. Yep.
Yeah.
Who'd Brandon take?
Brandon's got Pollard and Allen.
Pollard and Allen?
Yep.
Okay. All right, give me. I'm gonna roll with my guy. I'm gonna say he gets back on track after a quiet week 2. Give me Tyreek Hill at wide receiver.
Gotta love him, dude. All right, Brandon. You need a quarterback and a tight end, and Kelsey's gone, Hawkinson's gone, Kirk Cousins is gone, and so is Justin Herbert.
I'll take Russ.
Well, we know who's chugging beer next week.
Okay.
You can joke. He's the QB4. And all
it's going to be a long episode
quietly.
Next week because Brandon takes 45 minutes to chug a beer.
All right. We'll see.
What else you need? You took Russ, and now you need a tight end.
Now I need a tight end. I have to think for a second.
Don't hurt yourself.
I'm going to stick with my guy that's been clutch right now and go with Hunter Henry.
All right. So I've got Cousins. I have Tyreek Hill. I have Travis Kelce.
Me and you both need a running back.
You and I both need a running back.
Pollard's the only one not taken.
Yep. And McCaffrey's already played, so he's off the board. Gosh, there's two guys that I really like. I'm gonna stand my ground with my since I feel like I've got a little bit of wiggle room to play with since it's very clear Brandon's gonna come in dead last. So if I get this one wrong, I think that's okay. I'm gonna stick with my must start. I took Cousins. Give me Travis Etienne.
Yeah, I was gonna take him. All right, so I need a running back to finish this up.
Yep.
All right. I'm looking at these rosters and looking at the matchups, and I am going to go with Bijan against the Lions.
I knew you were going to do it. You better hope he catches the ball because the Lions front is going to shut that run game down.
I'm extremely confident that I have Herbert, Jefferson, and Hawkinson, that I'm not really worried about anything.
Yeah, that's not bad.
But Bijan's looks so fucking good.
He has. Yeah, I'm excited to watch him just from like a fantasy owner perspective because I do own him in my orphan dynasty league. And I think I own him in one of my other leagues as well, but excited to watch him from a dynasty perspective, fantasy perspective, terrified as a Lions fan because I think he's the real deal.
So to recap our roster,
I just want to say next week we're putting a cap on this, so you can't take the number one in every category.
Hey, I took ATN is far from number one.
I'm not worried.
Is not.
It was a draft.
Cousins is number one.
Okay, that's fair. And I guess I did take Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. So
yeah, you have really.
Yeah.
Kelce is whatever, but yes.
All right.
No, I'm just saying to, like you said when we were going through. I'm just saying for future when we do it because it's not the no-brainers are
Look
easy,
who's
right?
scared already. What do you know?
I'm not. I'm super confident with my team. I'm happy.
All right. Yeah. So Hunter Henry carries you to victory.
It'll make it even more enjoyable when I win.
To recap, Team Adam has Herbert, Bijan, Jefferson, and Hawkinson. Team Allen has Kirk Cousins, Travis Etienne, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. And Team Brandon has Russell Wilson, Tony Pollard, Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry. So loser will do the ESPN, I guess, because that's probably what most people look at, standard scoring shit.
Standard PPR.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we'll tally them up, and whoever loses comes in last has to chug a beer. Yeah. And if there's a tie for last, then there's two chugs.
All right. Fair enough.
So,
all right, sounds good. All right, guys, I think that's all we've got for this week's episode. Should be some fun games. Really excited for that Minnesota LA game. That's going to be a good one. A lot of fantasy implications in that game. You can tune in next week. We'll likely record again Wednesday, post on Thursday. But in the meantime, follow us, like us, comment, share our page, please. Share us on all socials. We'd love any feedback that we can get from you. Again, we are the Fantasy Realm presented by Pro Football Debate. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next episode.
Adios.